hopefully that hooks up. Hopefully that gets this podcast off. Hopefully we get to talk some NASCAR and some camping and stories and maybe less NASCAR and more stories.
So people are already being able to see us?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
We are
Let me pull up
like Donkey Kong.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen?
I'm going to tweet this out if I can remember which button to press. Oh, it's over here. There it is. Cool. Now I need to copy paste something. Blah blah blah.
Oh, look at that.
Yada yada yada.
PTM is live. We got two.
Bruce Buffer. We are live.
Two people already online, which is
Folks
awesome.
Jumping on, hanging out.
Look at
What's up, Brandon Carl?
Live chat.
That's right. Brandon Carl's here to say hello. And let's see. It's just us tonight, y'all.
One of the two might just be me.
That'll happen.
Because I'm signed in.
That'll happen.
Yeah, y'all. You're going to be subject to just us this week because, as it turns out, we have a lot to talk about.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this one. Let's see. The expected video resolution is 1280 by 720. Well, you know what? I have troubles outputting that kind of resolution.
Chrissy is also with us now.
What's up, Chrissy? Good to see you. Chrissy Gale 4. You know what? I've always read her name as Chrissy Gal. I know it says Gale, but I'm like, hey, it's Chrissy Gal. She's here. Like, kind of feels it's kind of like, oh, it's Rusty Dude. You know?
Oh, and there's Roger and Sarah.
Sarah, Roger. What's up, y'all? We are here. Excellent. Yeah, just us tonight. Just going to hear us recounting stories from the old Darlington ordeal.
Adventure?
Adventure. I shouldn't call it ordeal. We had a great time. There was a couple ordeals.
There's one big one.
Yeah, everybody knows about the big ordeal. Or if you're talking about the other big ordeal.
No, I meant the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be in the mix tonight.
Oh, yeah.
The cat was awaiting, too. Roger's got a cat.
My man, Roger. We'll probably hear some cats complaining outside the door at some point. Two of them.
Standard issue. If we talk enough, the proximity mics won't pick them up.
Yeah.
I tried to explain that to my boss, and she never could figure it out. I'm like, as long as you're making noise, it's only going to pick up in your general vicinity.
Oh, yeah.
Although we did have some echo last week. Did you hear that?
What's up, Brett? We had some echo last time. Yeah. When Rick was talking, that's
no. When I was talking, we had
when you
echo.
were talking, but it was through Rick's thing. Is that?
Okay.
Issue. So
I
was trying to control it every once in a while if it got bad.
Oh yeah, okay. Because he was talking into a laptop and not in a headset.
That could be. Yeah, that could be. So, but it would only pick it up for just a few seconds, and then it would figure itself out.
Yes,
so,
that's correct.
Oh man, Brett, you got to be getting excited. Indy coming up. Brett, you go to Indy, right? PJ, what's up, dude?
Sarah said,
dreamed I went to a party in goth-made costume to give Denny Hamlin a lap dance. Good
Patrick
Lord.
Johnson.
PJ.
I don't know that I've seen that name before.
You have.
I have?
PJ and I used to work together.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Welcome, Patrick.
Back in a recent but former life of ours.
Right.
PJ, you got to be coming up on a year at the new place, if I remember right. I think you left in September, and I was out in January. So I think that was the case. I can't recall. So happy 1 year. If it's not now, it's soon. May have to work, but planning on going. Okay, good. See.
Oh, Roger, you didn't miss the cavalry story. That's going to be repeated here.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, he says, yeah.
Eyewitness.
I'm not, PJ. I'm not trying to bring up anything here. If there's stuff that's going on there.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Whoops.
Yeah, we're here to have fun, not bring up drama. We'll tell you some drama stories though.
We did see some interesting things.
We saw some good drama, but our kind of drama, the fun drama, not the...
I'm going to explain to y'all why tent camping is the way to camp at a NASCAR race.
Man, we'll say it at the very beginning, but No, I'll wait. I'll wait to say it. I'll wait to say in terms of kind of our sayings and stuff. But boy, tent camping is that's where the stuff happens, y'all. And you're going to see some stuff at the tent camping lot. Oh man, was it intense? Oh man, see, Roger, I may not bust out laughing at him, but I do appreciate me a good dad joke.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you for that. Good times. Let's see. It's 9:05, Sherwin. I think we ought to get started. What do you think?
Let's do
Let's do it. Let's make sure Sydney Lett is. Oh yeah, she's ready to roll. I'm ready to roll. Sherwin, are you ready to roll?
I am ready to roll.
Let's do us a podcast. I'm going to have me a little drink.
Oh yeah.
Let's get this thing started. Here we go. We're recording now. Welcome, that's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tug Game Air Racing Podcast, episode number 210. Today is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2019. I'm Tug Game Air Rusty Wallace. I'm in the PTM Podcast studio with Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
Woo-wee!
Man.
Well, we couldn't think of anything better than give you guys an entire recap of our weekend at Darlington.
That's right. It's going to be fun, and I can't believe I'm having another beverage already. But, hey, why not? That's what we do, right?
That's part of the game.
Before we get on to that, y'all know what the deal is. This podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. Go to patreon.com/PTM. Join the What You Drink Club for as little as $1 a month. Get that free koozie and some stickers. Best part is, every cent in 2019, we're once again donating to sponsored drivers. So join the PTM posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show brought to you by our official sponsors at the $5 and up per month level. Those are Laura Hinch, Aaron Britton, Robert Keplinger, Colby McClain, Eric Kevin, Ryan Kiefer, Patrick Cleary, Jeff Brown, Brandon Crow, Kathleen McDonald, Stacey Wright, Brandon Carl, Rika Porter, Jump Bob, Les Mills, Julie Bosley, John Pearson, Eddie Greer III, Younker Motorsports, David Mullins, Patrick Johnson, Brett Morris, Crystal Smoke, Fred Rosado, Chad Knappett, Stacey Coleman, Matthew Camper, Lisa Chinana, Rick Houston, Todd Oliver, and Sarah Anbari.
Woo!
Got that one out.
That's a mouthful, right?
Yeah, it is. Every time. But, yeah.
About 30% of them folks in that group are watching live on YouTube right now, which is pretty
awesome.
Cool.
That's awesome. Good to have y'all along for the ride today. We have, as we sort of mentioned in the pre-show there, or the intros, we don't have any sort of guest on tonight. We figured we would sit down and have us a little fireside chat. I ain't fixing to start a fire. It's hot as hell, but...
No.
We'll have us a drinkside chat. How about that?
Drinkside chat.
Sherwin?
Cheers.
What are we drinking tonight?
I think you got Jim Beam and Coca-Cola, and I've got Jim Beam and White Claw Ruby Grapefruit.
Got a couple of twisted
got a tea over here.
And some
y'all know by now that we are big fans of Twisted Tea. It's part of our race program.
Yeah. And a River Rat Brewery. We'll talk about them. I'll tell you what. I'll start off with this part. We go to the race, and Sherwin, it's got to be 10 years, maybe more, since we started getting Twisted Tea. It was the first time we went to Bristol together.
It was the first time you and I went to Bristol.
Yep. Because they had a 24-ounce Twisted Tea, and one of us bought two of them and walked back and sort of pointed at the other person like, we're drinking this now. Big old Twisted Tea. We drank it, and we went, this is, among the nectar of the gods stuff, right?
It's good stuff.
Good. This is like race juice right here. So we started buying Twisted Tea. Sherwin, we've bought a 12-pack of Twisted Tea for every race we've gone to, except maybe like some of the media ones where we attended as media, but we might have still bought a 12-pack.
We probably did.
But we ended up always running out like maybe two Twisted Teas each before we wanted to.
Right.
And so we had an amazing idea this Darlington race. Let's buy 2 12-packs of Twisted Tea. Wow, it turns out they make more than just one. We just keep buying Twisted Tea all we want. So we got 2 12-packs of Twisted Tea, and with that we had a few left over, but in a good way. We had our fill of it at the race and on the race weekend, and are now enjoying the fruits of our good idea here with the extra Twisted Teas.
That's right.
So if y'all ain't had you Twisted Tea,
Here's the thing. We've talked about this before about the Twisted Tea because it doesn't have any carbonation.
Yeah.
On many of occasion, we have both looked at each other and said, "Did you drink my Twisted Tea?"
I have been.
And we're like, I don't know. Maybe somebody stole it.
I've been unreasonably upset that my Twisted Tea was empty before. In that case,
because you can just like turn it up and take like 3 swallows at a time without like worrying about carbonation,
right?
And so they go away real quick.
Yeah,
it's really a good drink for taking to the racetrack.
And if you want to show off in a shotgun race with Brett Morse's friend Barf.
Well, there's that too.
You grab you a Twisted Tea and say, well, I'll shotgun this. How about that? And everybody looks at it. 5% alcohol? Sure. Go for it. And maybe what they don't know is it's like chugging 12 ounces of water or something because it's not carbonated.
It's like chugging an iced tea with no ice in it.
Yeah,
like
perfect.
It's just rip it open.
So with that, y'all, what we're going to do is just start this report card. Here we go. We're going to break it down. We're going to tear it down from the weekend. And every period is a different day, Sherwin. So first period Thursday.
Oh, cool.
Second period Friday on through Monday will be fifth period. Not a whole lot to talk about on Monday or Thursday, but there's a few things. So we might as well kick it off. First period Thursday. Sherwin, we pack up the truck. We hit the local watering hole to go watch the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets take on the Clemson Tigers.
Whew, that was rough.
It was.
Talk about no lube.
Oh man,
we got manhandled.
That was a rough one, man. That was what was it? 28-0 at the half when we left.
Yep. Every bit of it.
We did go to the local watering hole. We got us a pitcher of Sweetwater 420. That's the local, not even IPA. It's just a pale ale.
It's a standard.
But it's tasty. It's kind of overhopped for what you might think a pale ale would be. So, for us, it's...
So they call it an extra pale ale.
Yeah, maybe that's a good way to put it, or the West Coast style, or whatever you want to call it. And so, as we're finishing up that pitcher, I see that they've got one of those little placard things that sits on your table, and it has every special for every night, right?
How did I forget about this already?
Well, it's easy to forget this one.
Yeah.
Because on Thursday, it says Long Island iced tea, $6. And so the waitress comes over, sees our pitcher is empty, and our glasses are, maybe half full or whatever, because we're finishing that up, the pitcher. Just 2 beers apiece, whatever. We're good and lubed, ready to go on the next one. I asked her, I said, this Long Island iced tea, y'all doing that? Because the place was packed, with people. So they could have charged whatever they want for Long Island iced tea, but hey, if you're going to do a special, she goes, oh yeah, it's Thursday night. Don't matter if there's a game on. We got Long Island iced tea. And then she didn't have to try to sell it, but then she went into, upsell mode. She's like, and y'all, it ain't like a Long Island poured in a small, whatever highball glass. We're talking, we take a beer glass, 16-ounce beer glass, and make a Long Island for you. And I'm like, well, that's what I'm having next. Bring that on. She brings out, y'all, she doesn't bring out a Long Island iced tea. She brings out a glass of mixed liquor.
Right.
This thing, I took one sip and started laughing and pushed it over to Sherwin. Sherwin, you take a sip. Sherwin takes a sip, and Sherwin has this thing where if something surprises him, his eyes will light up. It's in a different way than most people. But he took a sip and did that. If you can see it on YouTube, it's and I can't do it because my eyes don't open real wide. But his eyes lit up, and he points his finger up. One more, please. One more of those, y'all. We probably ordered that with 2 minutes into the first period,
probably the second
quarter,
probably somewhere
maybe early in the second or something like that. Whatever it was, it took me an hour to finish this drink, and by the end of it, I was like, I think I'm done drinking here, Sherwin. Sherwin looks at me with about an inch left and goes, me too.
That was a drink.
That was a drink.
That wasn't
y'all.
no drink. That was a drink.
Yeah, if you want a second one, that's you're on your own. You find your own way back home.
Yeah.
You ain't riding with us either.
Yeah, that was,
Moment.
My phone,
Reconnection successful. Okay, well,
my phone
sorry,
never
folks,
lapsed. Although I'm 5 seconds behind.
Yeah. Well, anyway, with that,
whatever. Technology.
it was the Long Island iced tea, but so we got our butt whooped. We left at halftime. Sherwin, I'm not saying there was I was blackout drunk leaving the thing, but we got home and put a movie on, and I think both of us stared at the movie through like one more beer's worth of drink just about.
Yeah, did we watch a movie or a stand-up?
We watched the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
That's
that,
right.
6-part thing where the first...
Oh, wow. That was weird. So, y'all go check that out. The first, 3 episodes were absolutely hilarious, and the last 3 were like
kind
of serious,
weird,
and dark.
Yeah. It was like, we were having fun back on the first one. What happened?
I mean, we giggled our butts off through the first 2.
Oh, yeah. It was fantastic. So if you don't do anything else with that movie, just watch until you start getting bored and then turn it off.
Right, exactly.
It's a movie, but it's like 6 20-minute episodes is what it is.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, legit, the first 2, it's like the stage version of stand-up. I mean, you will laugh your ass off.
It's good. It's good. Sherwin, second period, Friday. We hit the road. And luckily, you know what? It was a good idea. We packed up the truck on Thursday before we went to the bar and had Long Island iced tea.
That was smart.
Yep. Hit the road. Stopped. Where did we stop, Sherwin?
We stopped at the River Rat Brewery in the shadows of Williams-Brice Stadium, where the South Carolina Gamecocks play football.
That's right. Yeah. So River Rat Brewery picked us up a couple of brews and a what else did we pick up? Some
4-pack of that IPA and then a 6-pack of the hazelnut brown.
Yeah.
That we took to the racetrack with us.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So picked up all that stuff, ready to roll out. It's 3.5 hours to the brewery, and then from there it's a little over an hour to the racetrack, to Darlington Racetrack, which is about the same. Here's the wild part, y'all. It's 50 miles further to Darlington than it is to Bristol. But because Bristol, you have to go over the mountains and, speed limits and not just speed limit that is the highway speed limit, but the speed limit in terms of like as fast as you're feeling like you want to go on that is way lower than on like I-20 straight shot west.
Oh, it's
or
straight
east,
up crossing the mountains.
Right.
I mean, people from out west will be like, y'all ain't got no mountains. We're like, well, perspective's everything.
Yeah, we'll give you that. But over the mountains.
I mean, what was that high pass that we went through? 3,900 feet.
Yeah, 37, 39, something like that. Yeah. So it's
pretty.
It's
I'll tell you that. Most
footer.
of y'all saw the pictures I was posting. Like the Smokies
Bristol,
are gorgeous.
Oh, it's incredible. And so we've talked about this together before. When the mountains are lower and full of trees, like they are out here on the east side. That means the mountain range is older because it's been knocked down by the weather.
Right.
So, hey, Rocky Mountains, our stuff's older.
Yeah. The Appalachians are probably like 100 million years older than the Rockies.
Yeah. So with that, went to, like we said, River Rat Brewery. Can't say enough good about how fun it is to stop in there. And like you said, right in the shadow of the stadium. Not only that, but there's that left turn, Sherwin.
we screw it up every year because it sneaks up on you because that turn lane will back up and you're like, what?
Well, what it is on the GPS, it shows the road turning to the right, and there's one road that goes. I don't know how to describe all this, but the whole thing is, I got to go right and then left. But you need to be in that left turn lane way before any of that happens. So you got to be getting in the left turn lane, even though you have to go right. It's sort of a weird thing. So we were joking on our way there, Sherwin. We said, you remember that left turn that we always F up?
Yes.
And we're giggling and laughing about that. Not 15 minutes later, we fly by our left turn. I go, oh, crap, that was the one.
Yeah. Well, but it did afford us the opportunity for me to take a picture of, like, the front sign of Williams-Brice. So that's pretty cool.
That's a pretty stadium. Say what you will about the SEC.
So for those
two ACC guys, but that's a cool stadium.
If you like your football movies, the program, which was made in I think around 1992, they're the East State University Timberwolves. Their home stadium was actually filmed in Williams-Brice.
Our next stop, Sherwin, the Darlington Wally World.
Oh, yeah. Had to go to the Sam Walton's big old freaking building.
Yeah. Sherwin, we go to how many Wally Worlds a year prior to races? I mean, we've been to the Wally World in...
I only go to Walmart when we go to races.
Me too.
That's it.
Me too. But what's funny about that is for us that means like 6 or 8 times a year we're going to Wally World.
Yeah.
And in Atlanta, Bristol, Darlington, Martinsville, Phoenix, we went to that one. The one down in Daytona, Talladega, absolutely. Wally World Talladega's
for
right there.
show.
So we hit that up every time. I got to tell you, the Darlington Wally World is the most special. And I don't mean special like cool special. I mean like short bus special. You know what I mean?
Careful, we don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah, I don't want to go. All right, fine.
Jokes, ladies and gentlemen, jokes.
Yeah, deal with that. There's people, it seemed, that their only purpose in being there was because somebody else was going to be there and they needed to download all of this week's meaningless rumors onto them. We're trying to go by people in the aisles who, you only catch 2 seconds of the conversation, but you're walking by them. Well, I told him I ought to blah, 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 blah. And these people didn't ride together. They came to Walmart so that they could do this right here. And
it was like group chat, but inside of Walmart.
That's, like, what are you doing?
And it's in the middle of the day on a day when maybe most people should have been at work.
So it's a special Walmart. If you ever have a chance, go visit the Darlington Walmart.
Bristol's not bad too. That one will.
Bristol will. That'll put some hair on the chin.
Yeah, that'll turn your head a little bit every now and again, depending on the year. We haven't seen anything wild and crazy that sticks out, but yeah.
I feel like at the Bristol Walmart,
Walmarts in small towns are a little.
Yeah,
they're interesting.
Yeah, Bristol Walmart will see somebody or some group of people or something that'll make you turn your head. I felt like every aisle was another like, what are they doing here? Well, you don't even have anything in your buggy, and you're talking with each other.
Just pushing a buggy around. Yeah. Y'all planning to buy something or just walk around?
Or in way too many cases, riding the little free hover round thing.
Oh, that's a thing too at Walmart.
I'm surprised those things still got battery by 6 p.m.
There will be some people. I mean, every hover round will be covered up. Like you won't. Like you have to stand in line to get one.
Stand in line. They can't even stand in line. Oh man, we're going too deep now. Oh, we get over to our campsite. We set up camp. We have a little bit of food and Braves game.
Hell yeah.
So
we watched a lot of Braves over the weekend, thankfully, for some modicum of connectivity, and watched on the phone.
Y'all, there's people, they've got all their big screen TVs out. They've got generators, hookups, all this mess. I've got a solar panel, like a portable solar panel that I charge up my phone with, and then also Sherwin's battery pack thing, and during the day. And then at night, once the sun goes down, it's time to watch a Braves game. We hook the battery pack up to my phone, and the battery pack will do like 3 charges or 4 charges or something worth. So we don't really run it down all that much. And I'm like, I don't care about the battery on my phone because I can just start it up again tomorrow on the solar panel. Y'all, for 0 emissions, we're green here at the PTM podcast.
That's right. Very sustainable.
0 emissions, free energy here. That'll piss off the scientists.
Somebody will get pissed off about that.
Free energy, y'all. You can watch a whole Braves game there. It ain't on a 50-inch screen TV, but hey, this is baseball. This ain't like soccer or hockey or something where like you got to be glued to the screen. We're talking about baseball. There's a pitch, something happens, and then you drink beer for about
25 seconds later, another thing happens.
Yeah. So, nothing.
Braves had a pretty good run of it. They won again this afternoon, I believe.
Yep. Oh, man.
Actually,
Roger,
they may still be on right now. I'm not sure.
Roger says a DC solar panel? Nope, this place is still in business, as it turns out.
No, not a bad business solar company, as it turns out.
Anchor, Anker.
Not feloniously owned and operated.
Right, doesn't have a mile-long history of I think they were Ponzi scheme, right? Wasn't that the whole thing with DC? Yeah. They get investors in, paid off the old investors and whatnot. I mean, classic.
Yeah, they were like borrowing money to pay investors.
Yeah. Watch a Braves game, and now... At this point, I shouldn't say at this point, not when the Braves game was over, but we hung out, we partied for a little bit. I'm going to bed, I'm in bed, but Sherwin you found somebody in the campsite next to us who had also fell asleep, we'll say, but had a little extra credit.
Yeah, so early in the day on Friday, this grandma, we'll just call her Grandma. No need to call her name out. Stopped by on the way to take her grandson over to the bathroom, introduced herself and her grandson very cordially, just like you expect in a campground at NASCAR.
Yep, grandson was maybe, 4 or 5 years old, 5 or 6?
Not even.
Yeah.
Probably 3.
Okay.
Probably 3. Just based on the size of him. And that was cool. We're like, hey, cool. And,
good to see y'all. Let's hang out this weekend. We'll have some fun. Woo, drink some beer. Y'all drink beer? Yeah, we drink beer. All right, let's do this.
Yeah, and her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend, not father of the child, were in their early 20s, 22, 21, somewhere around in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I walk over after you decide to go to bed because I still got all that whatever adrenaline juice in my head that keeps me awake much longer than you for the most part.
True.
Just to chat, And Grandma is in a chair next to the tent, and there is a very large, dark stain on the front of her shirt.
And it's not like she spilled some beer on it, stain, you're saying.
No, it's like she is the first person I think I've ever known ever in life that blew a motor while sitting down on herself.
Oh, my goodness.
And I mean,
sleep barf.
Blew a motor.
I never heard of sleep barfing before. That's impressive.
It was a talking point for the entire time that we were awake for another 30 minutes. And I mean, all the way down to when they were trying to get her, she kind of,
stirred awake a
little bit. And they're like, well, what are you going to do? And she's like, maybe I'll just stay here. And we're like, yeah, you should probably sleep here because if you go in the tent covered in barf, everybody's going to have to smell barf all night. Mm-hmm. And so they just, I turned around, they held up a blanket, they took her shirt off, they put 2 blankets on her and just left her in the chair. And that was the problem solved for this situation.
Hey, it worked. It worked. Time travel. Saturday, third period.
Yes, I walked by their camp with a beer at 12:30, and I'm like, y'all ready to go again?
She's no. Saturday, we cooked up some food, and old PTM Posse friend Evan Roller rolled by.
Yeah, that was awesome. And, I hadn't really remembered interacting with him a whole lot, on the Twitter. But he said he found us because he followed Lap Traffic. So good on you, Brandon, who's probably already posted a new episode tonight.
That's right.
So y'all be sure to go check that out. At Lap Traffic PC is his handle. And he's on iTunes just like we are. But, yeah, Evan was awesome, man. We talked for 45 minutes probably about all the collecting that he does and all the really neat NASCAR stuff that he's got going on. And
he showed us a million pictures, and also in his backpack that looked like it might be able to carry a couple T-shirts. He had an entire fire suit and then another jacket, and then he just kept popping stuff out.
Yeah, he had tons of stuff in there.
What is in this, Santa's bag of NASCAR awesomeness?
Yeah, well, I hope Jeffrey Whitler listens to this episode and tries to figure out a way to get in touch with him because we talked about how Jeffrey was trying to offload a few things that are making his collection a little bit too big for the space that he has, and Evan was also talking about, I'm all the time trying to get older stuff, and I'm always willing to trade and barter. He does a lot of trade and bartering for NASCAR memorabilia. We're like, man, we got to get you guys connected. I bet y'all can make a transaction.
Wheel a deal here.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it was really cool, and he brought us a present that was awesome. We won't really discuss what that is because it doesn't matter. But it was a lot of fun to interact with him for the very first time, and he already
cool.
He
Hopefully
texted,
we get more.
Yeah, he texted me today and
awesome.
was saying, hey, all that sort of stuff.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, great to meet you, Evan. We appreciate you being on board with PTM podcast.
So Xfinity race. Had a good race, man.
Looked like a good race to
It was
me.
a fun race. Hamlin takes a checkered. But I mean,
he did take.
Hamlin
I mean,
took
that's factual.
Yeah.
Hamlin did take the checkered flag. That was a thing that did happen.
Yep. Our fandom or lack thereof of Denny is well documented on this episode.
Yeah, we don't have to dwell on it, but you're right.
But and I only say that because look at this Coca-Cola. It's got the Carolina Panthers on it. We bought it up in Carolina. Crab legs.
Middle finger to that thing.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
Denny Hamlin and then in Xfinity race.
Yeah. So we're back at camp when Sherwin gets a message or has checked Twitter or something and goes, Denny Hamlin cheated. Cole Custer wins. And I'm
Cheater!
That's right. And so we had us a good old high five and a good old session of laughing with other folks about it. That was, that kind of made the night for us.
Well, it gets even better than that because when they gave Cole Custer the news, he did the Steve Austin. Y'all, I mean, most of y'all are like half-ass wrestling fans, a lot of you. He did that Steve Austin thing where he would smash two natural lights together and form in his face.
Yeah.
He did that.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Oh, that's cool. Steak dinner that evening.
That was delicious.
And Braves game number 2, I believe we scored 11 runs or 12 runs or something, and
I think
White
it was
Sox
12.
scored like 5 or 6. So it was a barn burner, crazy.
Not a lot of pitching, a lot of hitting.
A lot of hitting. We enjoyed ourselves there.
A little full, a lot of sap.
Yeah. And as time would have it, old Rusty found his way back to the tent, and old Sherwin had him another story.
So, yeah, as is tradition, for whatever reason, I get this third wind late in the evening that keeps me up usually an hour and a half to 2 hours after Rusty will go to bed. And I'm sitting there, and the absolute cavalry rolls into camp.
You're talking about, I think you said something like 4 or 5 police cars, golf carts with the Army, Army guys in full fatigues in.
There were 40 people in uniform.
Yeah.
And a plainclothes detective interrogated me very briefly about what was going on with the car that they were investigating. Because apparently somebody got a gun pulled on them. Ooh. And I was like, man, I've been sitting on this cooler right here in view of all of this for about 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I said, I hadn't seen anything.
Yeah.
Now, y'all know the rule. Rednecks don't F with the police, but I was being 100% honest. I hadn't seen anything.
Thank you, Corey Ryan Forrester, for that one. We do not mess with police. So, yeah. But they rolled in. How long did it take them to roll out? How long were they there?
So
because I think you said they were
bullhorned the vehicle y'all get out.
Yeah, get out of the vehicle.
And then nothing happened, and they flashlighted the whole thing and realized there was not one single human being inside of it. And they're like, off they go. I mean, the cavalry rolled back out. 30 golf carts and 2 cop cars blue lighting. It was like, what in the world is this?
My favorite thing is, how do you Ninja Knight go get your car back now if you know there's only one entrance and one exit to this campsite, and you got to go past some people, So you got to
right. Well,
I
think if you were super conniving, you would realize that you could drive down one of those roads near us.
Yep.
All the way out to the road. The ditch isn't really that nasty, and you just kind of could drive up on the road and leave.
Yeah.
But the the white SUV was gone the next day. And I remember when they all rolled in, I looked over there and I go, that guy's parked on the wrong side of the ditch. Because they got this big ditch. They have 2 of those long roll-away dumpsters for people to throw trash in. And you're not allowed to park on the one side of it. Right. The overflow parking lot is on the other side of it. And it's like, well, you've already called attention to yourself. And there's a rumor that the driver of the vehicle had pulled a gun on somebody, which is, I don't recommend anybody doing that. That's probably, especially in Darlington. And we've had a lot of laughter about this because The Darlington police is not a police department that you want to F around with.
Right.
I mean, like, we were interrogated for no reason because we were two white dudes walking down the road and they were looking for two white dudes walking down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and we just happened to fit whatever generic description that was and got interrogated over the deal. And we've told some great stories about that. But, like, Darlington is not a place you want to screw around.
Right. Right. And they screwed around.
And
So,
just stay in your
in
campsite
the bad way.
and drink beer. And if you just walk down Tunnel Road towards the track, no rules. Any cop you see, they don't care what you got. Mm-hmm. You head out towards Indian Creek Road, you're on your own.
Yeah. On your own. So let's go to Sunday. Sunday, dude, we wake up, and what time is it? I thought you'd get it. It's bow time.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. Oh, my God. How did I miss that cue? Yeah, we went to Bojangles, by God.
Yeah, we did. Got up, was shuffled around a little bit. It was probably about 9:30 or 10 when we Sherwin looks over.
Good thing is, any time of day, you can get a Cajun filet biscuit.
Oh, yeah, you can. Sherwin looks over, and you know, the way he says it is, you know, I wouldn't mind having me a Bojangles biscuit right about now. And you know, they've got the Bojangles tent down there at the track. And I'm like, you wanting to walk all the way down the track? He goes, hell no! Go into town. There's a Bojangles in Darlington. Let's go over there. And then it hit me. Oh, hell yeah. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Let's ride in the air conditioner a little bit and go get us some Bojangles biscuit.
Went and got us a Bojangles biscuit. Found a liquor store that was open at the time and bought this Jim Beam that's sitting right here for way too much money for what Jim Beam cost.
They definitely were pretty proud of it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're good on them. They had a nice racetrack there. They can be proud of the racetrack. They can be proud of the fact that folks like us are going to roll up and go, we ran out of Jim Beam. We're going to need some more.
Yeah, and we'd bite damn out of it again.
Well,
whoops.
That'll happen. Ride back from boat time. I think we stopped at the liquor store. We stopped, I can't remember if that was Saturday or Sunday. We stopped by a gas station. I filled up with gas, and we got some ice. So either way, we're loaded down. We're ready to roll. Get back to campsite. We know this is the last time we're going to be out for the rest of the week. So let's do this thing. Roll up. I look over to the right, and there is a girl dry heaving in the campsite next to us. She's...
She got the teeth sweat thing going on. She's kicking off.
And the first thing
and it's already poured rain once.
No, not yet. Not yet.
It hadn't rained yet?
No, it hadn't rained yet. This is still in the morning. You know, this is still Sunday morning. No rain yet. It didn't rain until like 3 or 4 p.m.
I told her to, like, kick it off in the puddle of water that was near our camp.
Maybe there was something. Well, she didn't actually puke. You might be talking about a different puker.
Same camp with the grandma that puked.
Yeah. This was at 10 a.m., though.
Oh.
And so my thought was, or maybe it's 10:30 by this point, my first thought was, boy, she went at it hard early. You know? If you just look over and see some girl, anybody, girl, dude, whatever, puking, you're like, well, they hit it a little bit hard. You know, this race it until 6:15, and it's 10:30 a.m., and they're dry heaving. Well, so drive up a little further, and we see that somebody is cleaning off her foot. Now, for whatever reason...
No, this was after it's, like, stopped raining.
Okay, well, maybe... Was that later? Whatever it was. I thought that was as we were pulling up...
No. This was way later. Way later than that.
Whatever it was. We'll still tell a story. It don't matter. We see that somebody is cleaning off her foot. And for whatever reason, Detective Rusty in his mind put the pieces together. I put it together pretty quick because... They had their own, if you never camp...
Well, they had said the S word like 3 times already about what was probably on her foot.
Well, so I didn't pick up on that part. I just saw the heaving, and then I saw somebody clean off her foot.
Y'all, it's rare when I remember a story better than Rusty.
Well, no, I saw one thing and then the other. And like I said, I put it together and I went, she has, because they had a private porta-john. If you're at any... race campsite, you can for $100 or so get your own porta-john. They put it in your little campsite or whatever and keep it clean and whatnot. So I had put it together that girl just stepped in some mess and is not taking it well to the stomach.
Yeah.
And whatever happened, I went over.
Barefoot, y'all.
Yeah, barefoot.
Barefoot.
You step in it, and she's, yes, yeah. So evidently, in their own private Porto, somebody missed or did the hover thing. Or
the boyfriend was roadhoused.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, this was when like the rain had basically stopped, and I saw him kind of bounce around like you could tell he was just like not. He was time traveling, like evidently he stood up and dropped a present on the floor that she stepped in, barefooted, and she was about to heave.
Oh man.
And it was, I mean, that's just one of the funny things you might see in a campground is some girl step in her boyfriend's
what a mess.
poo-poo.
So, question from the PTM Posse, Dorothy Foss at LKON0304. Did the girl next to you guys ever get her feet cleaned?
Well, we invited her over to our puddle that was because of all the rain that we had to, like, kind of shimmy it around. I'm like, hey, look, we got a puddle right here. You can just kick it around a little bit, like, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So before the race started, Jeffrey Whitler came by and said, hey, what's up, guys?
Sure did.
So, Jeffrey, good to see you, buddy. Went to the Tweet Up. So, walked down the Tweet Up. We got to see Ricky Craven. Got a picture with him, the NASCAR sensei.
And he was just as nice and friendly and as funny as you would ever imagine he would be. He looked down after we took the picture and saw Rusty and I were both holding mixed drinks at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he goes, stay hydrated, boys. And we're like,
exactly
we're going to do that.
You got that right, buddy. We'll be there. Daniel McFadden, we kind of met up with him trying to figure out where the Tweet Up actually
Met
was.
his parents.
Met his parents. Good to see you, Mr. and Mrs. McFadden. Alexis Oliver was there.
Hell yeah.
Came and said, hey.
Yeah, Alexis, cool. We met her husband.
Bob Pockris, of course.
Pocky was running the show.
Rick Houston.
That was, for me, that was like the entire reason for going.
Dude, Rick Houston, who we had on last week, was given out, as he said he would, the Grand National Scene magazine. We got a copy right here of the Grand National Scene magazine. And y'all...
Show the important page.
Y'all, I was sitting there later that night reading through this thing. I was lounging back in my chair reading the paper.
You jumped out of that chair like it had an ejection seat.
Oh, I tell you what, I sure did. And I had it open to a page, and I was tap pointing like, Sherwin, come here. And Sherwin, Detective Sherwin, figured this one out real quick. He goes, oh, did we get a shout out? And sure enough, y'all, right here on page 9, right? It's like an advertisement for the Scene Vault podcast, which y'all need to go listen to.
Yeah, obviously. Definitely go listen to Scene Vault.
But they put all these reviews from different folks on there. And right there, in the biggest font and in the middle is PTM Podcast. Y'all, we are officially in print magazine.
Yeah, and guess who else got a shout out?
Old Daryl Sweetwater III.
Old Daryl Sweetwater III got a little shout out too.
So there you go, y'all. PTM Racing Podcast. Now, this isn't an accomplishment of ours. This is an accomplishment. This thing is incredible. The Grand National
Scene. The amount
Scene.
of work that Rick and Steve had to do to build the, capital in order to make that work. By the way, I've successfully dried all 5 copies that I have.
Sweet.
It's clear that they've gotten wet, but they are all fully functional.
Earlier today, Rick posted a picture of the King standing by a car holding Grand National Scene, the new edition,
August 29th,
and
2019.
just grinning his ear to ear. It was so cool. I tell you what, if I was Rick Houston and Steve Wade, I would probably have taken like this whole week off of work if they haven't already, just to like sit down and like happy cry for about 4 days.
Oh, for sure.
It was incredible what they came up with and what they were able to do. So it was really cool, as he said, but it was hard to, I shouldn't say it was hard, just in your mind as he was saying what they had put together versus what's actually on the pages. Here's goosebumps, dude. They're all over me right now.
Yep.
The style, they did reprints from all kinds of different years from 1976 all the way through like 92, 99, something like that. And then they had all these people write new articles who were old contributors
yeah.
to Grand National Scene. So this thing is a piece of treasure as far as I'm concerned, and the Scene Vault fellas, Rick and Steve, I can't imagine how. I mean, I'm so proud, and I had nothing to do with it. You know,
right? Exactly. And Evan Roller, by the way, I promised you that I would have a copy for you and your dad. You'll just have to send me an address, and you'll have to bear with the fact that they're clearly water damaged, but none of the text is damaged. The pages are just kind of a little crinkled.
Yeah. So right after all that happened, the tweet up was sort of disseminating, and that's kind of when we usually walk up to Bob and say, "Hey, Bob, good to see you." And he's like, "Hey, boys, how y'all doing?" And as soon as we shook hands with him, like the big drops of rain started, and that was
big old fat rain, as Forrest Gump would say.
If you know the South and you know big old fat rain, you know what that means. It's fixing to rain, boy.
Yeah.
So you better run for the hills or something. So as soon as we shook Bob's hand, I think both of us, like us and Bob independently, sort of looked at each other and went, "See you later."
Right.
Bolted in two separate directions. He ran off to Media Center. We ran off under the Bojangles tent.
Bojangles.
So
us and all of our friends in there.
Yeah.
Hambone. We met Colt Corley and his girlfriend or wife, Hannah. I think girlfriend. They were fun to talk to. They had a friend there whose name I forget. I apologize. But yeah, we were packed up under.
Hambone was under there.
Yeah.
Some old boy introduced himself. "I'm Hambone." Like, you sure are.
Yeah, he looked like a ham bone, that's for sure.
Oh, man. Hung out under there. I think, so Sloppy Yellow Guys posted a picture on Twitter, and they say, "Hey, I see PTM in the tent across from us."
Yeah. Was that James Wagner?
Yeah, that was James. Yeah.
Shout out to James Wagner.
So we hung out with James a little bit after the rain sort of let up a bit. Rain did let up a bit. We went back, had our steak dinner, and then the heavy stuff came down. Like it kind of rained a little bit heavy.
It got mildly biblical,
but it got ridiculous. And if you're looking at, I'm sure everybody was looking at the weather radar. There was one rain cloud in the state of South Carolina at that point, and it was over the top of Darlington, just bringing it. And we're hanging our heads in shame of PTM curse is back on. They're never going to run this race. We're completely screwed. You know what? I never felt like they wouldn't run the race. I felt like
there was too much evidence that suggests that we were going to get to race.
Shout out to Brian Newdorf, NASCAR_weatherman, regular on Lap Traffic Podcast.
That's right.
He kept posting updates saying, "Look, y'all, this thing's going to dissipate. It's going to be done by 8, and there's nothing behind it." So if it stops raining at 8, and I think NASCAR was looking at his stuff too, you know?
Oh, they had to have been.
And making these decisions, and boom, 8 o'clock comes by, rain stops, and now what you going to do? I think that was the question.
Yeah, now we got 90 minutes.
We got 90 minutes to do this thing. We've got a hurricane evacuation, mandatory evacuation tomorrow for, just east of here.
Right,
so
exactly.
What are we going to do as NASCAR? And props to, I always give NASCAR props for always trying when it comes to rain. We've seen pouring rain with no chance of having it, and they start burning gas with the Titans out there. They do try really hard when it does rain. But they made the decision, I think, at 8 p.m. that we're going to run this race. Because they didn't call it, and they knew how long it takes to dry it. They said, we're running this race. We're going to do it. Here goes nothing. Y'all buckle in. It'll be about 9:30 or 10. Do what you got to do. If you need to sober up a little bit. If you need to drink a little more, have your drink. If you need to get some food, get you some food in you. We're going to run this race.
Right.
Y'all come show up.
Yeah.
And,
very much appreciated.
Yeah. So we did it. We got there. Quick question from Mike Neff at M Neff Short Track. Should Darlington go back to starting the race at 1 o'clock p.m.? I'm going to talk logistics. And Sherwin, I think you'll talk about racing.
It wouldn't really. Yeah, I'll talk. Go ahead.
What I'd say logistics-wise is I think absolutely, and here's a few things, a little bit selfishly, in that me and Sherwin have been to a bunch of night races. So to me, I hate to say it, there's not a whole lot special, quote-unquote, for me for a night race anymore. There's so many night races out there. We've been to a ton. We've been to them in Atlanta and Bristol and some other place I can't remember.
Darlington,
Darlington.
Darlington.
Yeah, absolutely, Darlington. So the allure of the night race or the late afternoon into night race thing, I've done it before. What it does for me logistically is if you have a 6:15 race, 6:15 p.m. race like they had, you get to start that race in about a 4-hour window, maybe 5 hours because you could technically push it back to 5:15 p.m. You got 5:15 to 10 o'clock or so to start that race. And you're kind of giving yourself a short window here in the late summer in the South with, the late summer South weather that you get. Whereas if you back this thing up to 1, then you have the option to move it to noon, within 24 hours or 24 hours beforehand. And now you've got 14 hours to play with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you don't have 14 hours. The 14 hours till the end. You've got a good 10 hours to get a race in or to get the race started and start moving around. So logistically wise, I think it makes total sense, and I wouldn't miss it being a night race myself. So that's where I'm at. I'm totally in. Yeah, do it at 1 o'clock on Sunday, and then that gives us time to come back after the race, cook some food,
and
party a little harder.
Hell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or
For the people that want to get out earlier, they can get out early, hit the road,
get home,
and get home before late night.
Yeah.
So
no, I would, like you said, we've been to so many night races. It wouldn't hurt my feelings at all if they pulled it up to a regular, like old school NASCAR 1 o'clock start. Mm-hmm. Just for all the reasons you just said, but for the other reasons that you might want it to be a 1 o'clock race is a hot racing surface makes things a lot different for race cars. Mm-hmm. And I thought we saw multiple grooves play out even at night. We saw tires wear, but you're going to see an even more exaggerated version of that if you run it during the daytime. Mm-hmm. Like when it's really heating up, when the surface is, because the end of the race would be, if you start at 1, the end of the race, the last segment would be in the 4 to 5 o'clock hour when the surface is probably as hot as it's going to get. Mm-hmm. And that means tires are going to matter the most. Like if you run it at 1, nobody's taking 2 tires in the last segment because they just can't.
Right, give me 4.
Like that's not a thing. But we saw a lot of short pitting anyway this year because of tires.
Yeah, we did. I would say from people who were kind of in the back or more toward the back and wanted to make up some positions and stuff. Yeah, we saw some short pitting. Yeah,
short pitting. Because tires mattered and they wanted to try to grab, those extra, points for finishing in the top 10. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I if they said next year, pull it up to 1 o'clock and let's giddy up, I'd be like, okay, that's fine. That's not gonna hurt my feelings. We'll, get up a little earlier and have a drink a little earlier than normal.
Hit the tweet up at 10 a.m.
And like your point, we'll be back at the campsite by 6 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Time for dinner, fire it up. Time for some partying. Mm-hmm. And for the folks that want to leave, they'll have a chance to pack up and leave by 8 o'clock. And maybe even, depending on how far away you live, maybe be home by midnight.
Yeah, exactly. Shoot, if we left by 8, we'd be home at 12:30, but I ain't fixing to not have me too many beers at the race.
Well, everybody gets the automatic vacation day on Monday. Yeah. Well, not everybody. I shouldn't say that. That's not fair. A lot of people do have to work on that Monday regardless of whether it's a holiday. But a lot of people don't.
Right. So, but that gets us to the track. In the track, it's 10 p.m. It's time to get started. On our way in, Sherwin, we saw 2 interesting things.
That was on Saturday.
Oh, on Saturday. Okay. See, I moved back and forth between the days. Yeah. Let's say it was Sunday, and nobody will know any better.
Well, because it was in the daytime, so we know that.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right, because it was early, so it was way too early for the 2 things that we saw. Right. One, I'm not going to go too far into. There was some dude getting stretchered out. Like, he was on a stretcher. This is before the race started.
Very large man was getting, like, that pumpy thing.
Yeah, the pump on the face thing. Yeah. I don't know what the deal was. It
was before the Xfinity race, like, even opening ceremonies.
Right. Hopefully that all got figured out. Best wishes to him and everything. But it's not something you see every day.
No.
Right? Especially before the race.
Well, it might be the first time we've ever seen that.
You almost expect that to happen after the race. Somebody went a little too deep. and something happened.
Right.
But not before the race. So, again, hopefully that's all right. But it was a little bit weird. Here's a real weird thing. As we were walking in, even before the stretcher guy.
Yeah, we're like at the ticket gate where they scan your tickets.
Yeah. And we kind of turn the corner after getting our tickets scanned. We're ready to head to our spot. And there's a staircase right there. And there is a girl, I don't know, mid to late 20s.
A very attractive young woman.
Yep.
Wearing a specific kind of bracelet.
Yes. The kind of bracelet that you get when you've done something wrong and
when you get an escort from people with guns and badges.
This girl got arrested pre-race, dude. Now, here's the thing. Listen, I'm woke, right? I'm all about
I'm pretty woke.
Equal opportunity, equal treatment, all this stuff. But as a female,
I want to know what she did.
As a female, it is way harder, I think, to get arrested at a racetrack than it is as a dude. Because a dude,
without a doubt,
a dude hits his girl, you're getting arrested. A girl hits a dude, or hits her boyfriend or something. It's going to be there's no arrest.
Maybe
right?
they just don't talk to each other for a couple hours.
Yeah, that's what we call a knockdown dragout. Exactly. So. We were wondering. We were running through our head. PT and Posse, y'all tell me, what does it take for a female to get arrested? She already got in, so this isn't like at the campsite and she burned down her boyfriend's truck or something. This is at the track. You already got in.
Inside
ticketed.
the racetrack.
At least, at most maybe 30 minutes ago, she was walking in, had her ticket with her, showed them the ticket. They said, okay, you are genteel enough to let you into this racetrack.
And it wasn't like she was stumbling around either. She was on a mission.
Yeah.
She was mad as a hornet.
She was not, she wasn't like, she wasn't being drug out by her feet or nothing.
She was marching them like they were walking a big dog. Yeah. And it wasn't a big girl either. She was little.
No, so I was like, well, there's drugs. I guess there could be drugs, but, you'd almost have to be smoking meth in the stands and somebody smells it.
Yeah, who knows what...
She could have hit another girl. That's one thing that I brought up, because she looked pretty fit.
Oh, girl-on-girl crime.
Yeah, she could have. She could have, hit another girl, but she didn't look like she was in a fight, so maybe she was really good at it. I don't know. But there wasn't that... but she wasn't like some UFC size or anything, so be honest, I don't think she could do a ton of damage.
No, she looked like she was about 5'6", 115 pounds.
Yeah, so how on earth... Oh, Sarah and Bari says, hit the cop. That is very... you know what? I think you're on to something
when
with
they're
that.
interrogating her for over something, she might have...
She might have hit the cop
or not even hit the cop, but just come a little bit loose with the mouth.
Yeah, that could be. And then they say, listen, we need you to calm down. And she, starts
remember earlier we said rednecks don't F with the police.
Right.
And what we say by that is it's not that they don't, it's not that they respect him. It's the exact opposite. Like they don't, like the millennial language, when you say you don't F with something, that means you don't even participate. Right. We're not having any of this. There's no reason for you to bother me right now. And if they were aggressive with their interrogation, she may have got belligerent.
Well, I'm going to give a huge shout out to Sarah on the YouTube because I've been thinking for 2 days about how she could get arrested.
How in the world
all the
she got
scenarios.
arrested.
This stuff running through my head, there's a hamster wheel turning in my head. There's math equations that are just flying by and stuff.
Right.
I'm not sure what it is. Sarah says 3 words: hit the cop. I'm like, oh, you probably got
it. Oh, that might be it.
It's the best theory yet.
For sure, that might be it.
Oh, and shout out to Fred Rosato for saying she was wearing a Ricky Stenhouse shirt.
That's also funny.
That's funny. Oh, that's good. Sherwin, 10 p.m. start. Old Matthew Bishop, an old PTM alum from days of yore when we first started, and he was coming on the show and stuff. We got to talk to him. Again.
Were you texting with him, or did he just figure out where we were at?
So he texted me and said, "Hey, are y'all at the track?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Where you sitting at?" And I said, "Up here." He's like, "I'm close. Let me know when y'all get in, and let's let's shake hands stuff."
Awesome.
So that was super cool to see Matt Bishop.
We hadn't seen him in a while.
Yep. He said he's working with the government now. He was doing his thing.
Yeah, he was a photographer for
was
NASCAR when he was at Auburn.
Yeah.
And then now
I think he was kind of independent for a while, doing AP stuff, and now working for the government. It's a cool deal. And Daniel McFadden, we talked about him before, but he came up and saw us, so that was cool to shake hands.
That was really cool.
All those folks before it started. Then it started. We run Rusty. We ran 500 miles of racing starting at 10 p.m. And at around 1:55 p.m., last lap, or last two laps, I guess, Eric Jones holding off Kyle Busch, or Kyle Busch kind of making himself hold off with that.
Well, Kyle was stretching the capabilities of his car, and then he smashed the wall in turn 2.
And we realized later he's already clinched the, or with this race, he has clinched the regular season championship, whatever you want to call that.
Right.
So nothing to lose at this point. Go after it. And he went after it a bit hard. I don't know if people were complaining or if this is like a straw man argument, but I saw several media people kind of like responding to other folks asking about why didn't we throw the yellow? Y'all, if we throw the yellow right there, I know there's like a lap and a half to go, and there's a dude up in the wall, and there's some shrapnel flying around, but we're talking about another half hour of racing at that point, because most likely you got to get all this crap cleaned up. You got to restart the race. Race will probably have another caution.
Well, they have to open the pits, let everybody pit,
all
2
pit
cycles,
stuff.
because you got lappers. You got on lead lap, and you got lappers. All of them get an opportunity to pit if they want to. And then you have a green flag start where there's so much to gain from being aggressive that, to your point, that wasn't going to be the last caution.
Right. So just let this one run out. I bet if somebody else had wrecked, they would have thrown it then just out of, like, hey, we actually need to throw this caution. But, hey, I think everybody was happy with the outcome. I mean, every time we've seen Kyle Busch crash lately, you get about half the crowd that's pretty excited about it. The other half is probably folks who are rooting for.
Just so you know,
the other half is all the people rooting for Kyle Busch because he's got a lot of fans. So
he does have a lot of fans. That's something that people forget about, like a lot. Like you see a lot of M&M stuff at the racetrack.
Sherwin, that was it for Sunday evening, 5th period Monday. We wake up a little bit too early. Probably had about 4.5 hours of sleep and had a 4.5 hour drive ahead of us.
Yeah.
So is what it is. I'm going to give some casualties here. The casualty report, if you will. I'm going to take off my hat. We reserve that for people and dogs or anything. I'll leave the hat on, but I'll raise a drink to these things. One, my Georgia Tech lawn chair.
You pooped that thing out on Saturday, didn't you?
I've had that thing for, probably all these things we're fixing to talk about, the better part of a decade or more. And this was my classic Georgia Tech lawn chair. Had it forever. It finally failed in the place that all lawn chairs fail of that era, where that part where like the armrest part connects to the butt rest part in that piece, and that part takes a lot of strain when you're getting up and down into that thing. And finally took off. You can probably replace that piece, but first you got to find that piece, and then you got to find the right rivets, because it's not a screw in, it's a rivet.
Yeah, they're riveted.
Put like a bolt in there, but now you're talking about all this redneck crap. The thing won't fold back up now.
And you're talking about $20 you spent a decade ago.
Right. Hey, we had a good run. Speaking of good runs, after all that rain and everything, the lawn, woke up the next morning. First off, the lawn is covered in shrapnel because of all that rain. What happens is the water comes across it, brings all the dirt and everything else, and we've dealt with that many times. I'll bring it back home and spread it out in the driveway and vacuum it and wash it, or I'll wash it off with a spray hose, let it dry out again, vacuum it for a little while, and get it back to good shape. Well, not only did it get dirty, but the ants came in on it.
Well, and they got fire ants in East South Carolina, y'all. I don't have fire ants in Roswell. We have ants, but not fire ants.
Yeah, we don't have them kind of fire ants. And so we were lifting up like our cooler, and underneath the cooler was as many ants as you can fit underneath the cooler. And y'all, we're not gross here. There ain't like shrapnel of our food sitting around.
Oh, we didn't have any food on the ground.
Yeah, we kept this thing, pretty sanitary, and for us.
It's because it rained so much, it brought them all out.
Yep, brought them all out. And so I told Sherwin, I said, man, I don't have the means or the desire right now, because the thing's still really wet too, and there's all these ants all over it. And you're like, why would I spend the next 20 minutes trying to get the ants off this thing, and then throw it wet into the truck, and then have to get home and do that whole rigmarole on it? Why don't we just go buy a new 12x12? So here's a cheers for the lawn. The lawn was out there. It's been to many Georgia Tech games, been to more races. Take us a drink for that. The biggest casualty, Sherwin,
buddy,
of the campsite stuff, the canopy, and I almost have to give it a canopy, man. It's been around.
That canopy has been to nothing short of 35 races.
Yep, that canopy has been.
And probably 20 football games.
Yeah. And this is a, y'all, this is a 12 by 12 canopy. This ain't easy to find, but it is way bigger. It's exactly 44 square feet bigger than everybody else's canopy. Ain't nobody else got a 12 by 12. You get the 12 by 12, bring it in there. This thing is rocking. And by the way, the lawn that I got, they sell lawn at Home Depot and Lowe's 12 feet wide and as long as you want it. So I got a 12 foot by 12 foot piece of that to fit underneath it. So the 12 by 12 canopy, this thing's for real. Y'all, Coleman 12 by 12 canopy, this thing lasted, it's been through, I mean, how much hell has it been through in terms of weather? Just start with.
Well, I remember so it's not as old as it seems by only 1 year because we had that mishap at Bristol.
Mm-hmm.
And you brought it back. And
I brought it back to Walmart.
You another one.
Yeah. Bristol,
awesome.
We had a thunderstorm of hurricanic proportions at Bristol the very first time I used it, and it tore it to shreds. And I brought it back to Walmart and said, hey, this thing kind of busted when we opened it. And they said, well, go get you another one. So I got me another one.
You just looking to trade it in? Yeah. Go get you another one.
Yep.
Come on back.
So no problem there.
But that was 2010.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've had it for 10 seasons of football and racing.
Yeah. So that was awesome. It had the rain, so the canopy itself was no longer really tight. It's been around so long, so it sort of drooped a little bit to start with. That collects water when it rains, and then it sort of folded in on itself. We were able to kind of half bring it back, and then got up the next morning, and I was thinking, if this thing just folds right up and we're done, then cool, I'll take it with me. We started folding it up. The thing was a mess trying to fold back together. It wouldn't come back together. We're trying to bend against stuff. I told Sherwin, I said, all right, man, let's retire this thing. We'll light a fire or a candle visage or something for it. It's been around.
Well, we're doing that right now, really.
That's right. That's what we're doing. So the Georgia Tech chair, the lawn, and the canopy, all casualties.
All got.
But you know what? What better place to send them down the river than Darlington, South Carolina, at the Darlington racetrack?
I totally agree.
I think that is a fair deal.
It's a great burial ground.
We're running out of time here, but we did get a question from Lap Traffic at Lap Traffic PC. Brandon, what's up? He asked, how many soft serve cones were consumed at the corner? Y'all, there is a...
I regret the answer to this question.
I do too. At the corner of the road and the campsite entrance, there is a soft serve ice cream place, and it's this big ice cream cone that's sort of blown up. And so, I mean,
it's like one of those blow up yard things.
Yeah,
like it's got like an air pump.
It's like 20 or 30 feet tall too, and they serve soft serve ice cream out of it. We tried at least a couple times to go get us an ice cream cone, and the line. We had the same idea as everybody else. Is what it was. Let's go get us an ice cream. This is the perfect time for it. And the line was. I'm telling you,
it was 50 deep.
It was 50 deep. I was going to say 50. Yeah, and so. We didn't get it either time that we really were craving it, and therefore we got 0 ice cream cones. Y'all, and this is such good ice cream.
It is really good. Dairy Queen ain't got snot on this thing.
And they got sprinkles if you want sprinkles. They got other things. The only problem is when somebody walks up and they don't know this ice cream place, and they start ordering something weird, and you're like, dude, that's going to take 30 minutes to make, and it ain't the ice cream. Order you an ice cream with some sprinkles. He wants ice cream with sprinkles.
Yeah,
that's what you need to get him.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There
are only 2 things that you should order at this ice cream stand.
Mm-hmm.
1 serving or 2 servings of ice cream on your ice cream cone, or a waffle cone full of ice cream. And it's like $3 for a regular old school, like it's edible, but it looks like styrofoam.
That's the one I always get. It's called the cake cone. That's my jam, dude.
Those are like
I don't know why. I love
$2 for like 1 serving, $3 for like the double.
Oh yeah,
and then the waffle cone is $5.
Mm-hmm.
And it is some of the best ice cream you will ever eat.
Yep, that's soft serve, good deal. Who knows? Probably processed to all hell, but that's what makes it good.
Oh, who the hell cares? I am amazed we made it through the whole weekend out getting, because we talked about that damn ice cream from the day we walked in.
Oh, absolutely. Before we got there. Oh, remember the ice cream? Oh, yeah, we're going to get us some
ice cream. Oh, yeah, we can get some ice cream.
That's like fat-ass pizza.
And we use it as a landmark when friends that we don't know who don't understand where we're camping.
Yeah, turn it to ice cream.
There's like, look, if you can find the big-ass ice cream, you can find trackside camping.
Mm-hmm. It's next to it. That's where you go. Go to the ice cream. We heard somebody else a couple days before that giving directions to somebody. Somebody he's trying to meet, and he's standing out there. He's got, one finger plugged in one ear and the other one on the cell phone. He goes, just go to the ice cream and turn left.
Go to the ice cream and turn left.
So, that was it, y'all. That is our Thursday through Monday, first through fifth period. Got a couple recess items, Sherwin. Bob Levine was asked, how much does it take to run one cup race, including travel, the car itself, paying everybody, everything. Earlier today, he was just asked, can you give us just kind of a round number? We're curious. Dude was real courteous about it, too. He's like, listen, love what you're doing. I wish I'd have wrote his name down on here, but he was asking on Twitter, how much does it cost you for one race to just be there and have it? And you got to love Bob Levine. Did I say Levine earlier? Levine. Bob responds, he always does his quote tweet thing, and the only thing he responded with was $400K plus minus. That was it. It's like, dadgum. That puts it, the way he responds just makes that really real, that number,
Yeah. Well, and I'll own up to this because I said something today that was not correct. I thought that NASCAR had already made the announcement that they were going to contract Dallara to build the chassis, like a spec chassis for the Cup Series for the Gen 7 car. Mm-hmm. And it was actually Kelly Crandall's boyfriend who said, false. That has not been announced. But it was Racer Mag that had reported that they had been consulting with Dallara. Okay. They just hadn't signed the RFP, which for those not familiar with project contract between B to B, that's request for pricing. So that
we call it a request for proposal.
Yeah, or either one. It's both, depending on, it could be either one, obviously. And so that has not been decided. Dallara is not officially going to build the chassis for Gen 7, but they are participating in the process. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of just said, hey, I screwed up. This is, an inaccurate piece of information that I provided. They've only been doing consulting work. And Bob quoted over the top, well done, guys. Mm-hmm. Just to say, hey, I saw what you did. I saw you kind of corrected what you said. And then I replied back to him. I said, I just, admit when you make a mistake and you move on. He said, well, I can't comment on any of it, but, kind of basically appreciate the fact that you owned up to the fact that you didn't say the correct thing.
Yeah. Good on you. Good little shout out here. NASCAR weatherman. We talked about him before. Brian Newdorf. And regular on Lap Traffic Podcast, he was being sworn in today as a National Weather Service meteorologist, like official.
Indianapolis, right? Isn't that where he is?
Louisville? Was it Louisville?
Oh, Louisville. That's what it is. Yeah, he's in Louisville.
Yeah. So got sworn in there. So congrats, Brian Newdorf. That's awesome. And he was giving updates all throughout the weekend. Apparently, people give him so much ish for his weather updates. And if you can't appreciate what he's saying, that, hey, this is what the winds and the models and my, X number of years of meteorology and my degree in this says should happen. But, weather is weather. We all know weather is weather. So let's get the best option what can happen. It was funny. If you're giving him ish on the internet, you know what? Yeah, go eat something that you shouldn't be able to eat.
Well,
I'll say it in the after show.
Right. At NASCAR or PETM After Dark. Mm-hmm. So apparently way back, and I guess we're talking about 3, 4, 5 years ago, he and Austin Studwell would kind of compete for the space that is giving NASCAR weather, but then they became friends. But both of them have the exact same animosity for, let's just say, unaware NASCAR fans who want to give them crap about their analysis of the weather based on whatever app they're using.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, don't tell me what your app says. I'm telling you exact science from somebody who studied the weather.
Yeah.
Like, so y'all, hey, don't give those guys crap. Appreciate what they do. That's the message of the day right there.
Yeah.
Like, they're trying to help you.
Yeah.
Like, don't give them crap.
Who was I looking at somewhere? They say, I give about 85% of my loyalty to the weather reporter and about 15% to my bum knee that I had surgery on that now messes up before the weather's fixing to change. So,
Yeah.
Don't forget the bum knee or the shoulder that's messed up or something. That's a good indicator. But
Because a drop in pressure
Also
or an
use-
increase in pressure will change how that arthritis works. Trust me, I know. I have a knee that is.
there you go. And my right shoulder's all
has
messed up.
metal in it. I have a knee that has metal in it.
Oh, there you go. Y'all, that closes us out for the breakdown. Hope y'all enjoyed what we had to say about Darlington, but we still got a little more to go. New follower shout out on the YouTube, Evan Roller, who we talked about before. Evan followed us on YouTube. Thank you, Evan.
He's on the YouTube right now.
Excellent. Well, it is time to gas it up. Come on. There it is. Brickyard. Going to the Brickyard, dude.
Going to the Brickyard.
You know what?
Flat and fast.
I remember getting excited about this race, and it's not because I'm not excited about that race, but having come off of Darlington and all the fun we had and everything that we did, and the fact that we're, physically not going to Brickyard, it's almost like, oh crap, I got to get all excited again for another race, and having been to the last two NASCAR races that existed.
Last cup races for sure.
I'm almost like I'm bummed that I'm
But
not
we do
going
get to go to Georgia Tech on Saturday.
True,
so that's fun.
True, to avenge the
Avenge the
terrible
loss of South Florida and Tampa last year. Hopefully,
and avenge the loss of a week ago in
kind of
Clemson?
potentially right the ship maybe.
So I've got further bad news, Sherwin.
What's that?
Last week our picks. You picked Hamlin, who finished 29th.
Oh, that was a good pick.
I picked right, and we were all looking at you sideways for picking him in the first place. I thought it was a good pick. It was a good pick for Saturday until the thing. I picked William Byron, who finished 21st, and Rick Houston, who he's a level-headed guy. We usually pick whatever and morons and whatever we're feeling like that day
Chase
and whatnot.
Finished 17th.
Yeah, Chase finished 19th.
19th.
I think that was our worst showing yet.
We sucked last week.
Our worst showing. People ask us a lot of times, why aren't y'all playing lap traffic fantasy? This is why, y'all.
This is why.
What the hell do we know? Every once in a while we get to blow the horn, but that's a 43-sided coin flip.
I'm going to say we've blown the horn more this year than probably we've
That's true.
had since you instituted the horn.
That's true. Well, what that means is, with my 21st pick of William Byron and your 29th of Hamlin, you get to go first for the Brickyard.
Oh, my God.
So who are we going to pick for Indianapolis in the Brickyard?
Well, I'm sure I'm going to fire a lot of people up over this, but Fred's going to be happy. I'm going to pick Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch. Let me write that down. I mean, strong pick there. Oh, I shouldn't write Kyle. I'll put Kai Boo because of that. You know what?
I mean, you know who I wanted to pick, but I've been a homer too much this year. So, I mean, fast and flat, Kyle's really good at Indy.
I'm going to pick with my head and my heart.
All right.
My heart says Wood Brothers, and my head says a guy who's won at Indy before. So I'm going Paul Menard, buddy.
Why not?
So
let's go buy some lumber, by God.
That's right. That is money. Y'all, we hope you've enjoyed this as much as we have. You know what? It's funny. When I get back home, and my wife, and she went out and she went to Dragon Con in Atlanta. If any of y'all are familiar in the Southeast, that's like the biggest. I can't say it without sound like I'm making fun of it, but like it's the biggest nerd convention in the Southeast, but in a good way.
Dress up
convention. They love their thing. I respect that. I like that they're doing that. It's not my thing, but it's funny because we come back.
It allows us to go do redneck stuff.
Right. But we come back, and individually, she's worn out from, they stay up till who knows when every morning, and she's got like 15 different costumes that she wears throughout the whole weekend, and all this mess that they do. Me and you have 15 different costumes that we wear at the NASCAR race, and people that we met and everything. And we get back, and you would think we'd get back, and, let me tell you this story. Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you. But you're so, like, trying to decompress.
I like to take a shower,
not talk about
and dump, and go to bed.
So we don't like. I'm like, how are you? She's like, I'm fine. How are you? I'm like, yep, all good. I'm like, okay, let's talk tomorrow about how things were, and you want to go out to eat tonight and just stare at each other. that's what we did. We went out and ate Mexican food last night, stared at each other.
That's awesome.
It's not till the next day that you're ready to tell stories, So here we are the next day, and it was a good time to tell stories. That's what I'm trying to get at. Hope y'all have enjoyed the stories. Hope y'all have had
I'd
fun.
like to tell you a story.
Yeah. So with that, Jordan, let's close this thing down. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us on
Holy cow. We already did a whole nother one.
Dude, not just a whole nother one, but a whole nother one plus some extra credit according to the timestamp. But we've had some fun. Hope y'all have had some fun.
Stick around for NASCAR or PTM After Dark.
That's right. That's right. If you're on the YouTube, you can see that. If you're not on YouTube, you ought to come to YouTube, see what happens.
Yeah.
But, excuse me, until then, we can't wait to talk to y'all next week. We're going to have some great guests. We're right back into what we always do. But as always, follow us at ptmpodcast.com, at PTM Podcast. Look on iTunes, look on Google Play, everywhere that you can find.
Basically, just Google it.
Just Google it. You'll find it. And as always, I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace at Tailgate Mayor.
And I am Andrew Sherwin, moonlighting as Daryl Sweetwater III in print. In Grand National Scene at Pregame Engineer and at Andrew L. Sherwin on Instagram.
We will talk to y'all next week. Thanks for hanging out.
Woo!
Boom.
Boom. All right.
Episode.
I keep saying NASCAR, but what I mean is PTM Podcast After Dark, y'all.
That's right.
This is where it gets a little bit,
Sideward?
not as churched up. Your kids ought to be in bed by now. It's 10 o'clock on a school night.
Yeah, what are y'all doing? We've been using our good language up till now to, give you some respect. Now we're not respecting anymore.
Right. So what I need to do now is, based on something I saw earlier, is apparently John Force did another interview where he dropped bombs.
Dude, he is
on public television.
He's the Edgar Allan Poe of F-bombs. And
it's awesome. Oh my God.
He gets to do that.
He does. He's earned it. That's what I said. Every time somebody posted on Twitter, I'm like, he earned it.
Who in NASCAR has earned as many F-bombs over their career? It would be hard for me to identify anybody. Tony gets a couple. Jeff Gordon gets a couple. You know what? The King. As many times as Richard Petty wants to drop an F-bomb, he gets to drop an F-bomb right now, I believe. Who else, though? It would be tough to identify people who, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is there, but he's not an F-bomb kind of guy unless he's in the moment, blah, blah, blah. Who do y'all think?
Yeah, who gets to say fuck the most?
Who gets to drop F-bombs, on command? It's a good question.
And John Force is like the Babe Ruth of drag racing. Like, when Babe Ruth broke the home run record, retired with 714.
Mm-hmm.
The next guy had like 180.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was that far out ahead.
Right, right. And Roger says Jimmy Johnson, but I don't see him as an F-bomb kind of guy.
Jimmy will say, he's not going to say, he's too smart to say it on screen. And I'm not saying John Force is not smart. That's not where that analogy was headed. What I'm saying is, Jimmy just has never had that demeanor on camera. John has always been an excitable guy. Now he's just 63 years old and doesn't give 13 F-bombs. Yeah.
There it is. Add new episode. I have to save this
John
episode
Force
down first before I can
interview.
do that. You're looking John Force interview. That EF5 cussing at my house. Oh, man. So, yeah, good on you, John Force. Going after that. What else have we got? What else did we talk about? Didn't we have something we were going to talk about?
I thought we did have something we were going to talk about after dark.
How about playoffs? Where's the playoffs?
Playoffs?
NASCAR playoffs.
Oh, we didn't talk about Newman and getting moved around by Suarez.
Yeah, I mean, that's all right. Sure.
Wasn't a problem for me.
That's what I mean. Like,
It looked on TV like they didn't even touch, and it's like Newman's all being snotty in his interview, and it's like, look, being hard to pass is a two-way street, brother.
Absolutely.
If you don't get out of the damn way when the car behind you's faster and he moves you with the air, that's on you.
Yeah. And I think that's the reason we don't talk about it on here sometimes. Just like, we both agree on this thing, and there's nothing much to say, so move on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, well, how about the Ryan Newman deal? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Fuck it.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, I mean, I watched it, and I solicited some information from people who also watched had watched the broadcast, and they're like, I don't think he even touched him. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, this isn't even a thing
Yeah.
then. Like, if you get moved by somebody's air, you are in the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's how this sport works.
Mm-hmm.
So to be snotty, not just snotty about the person who was racing you, but snotty with the reporter. I guess what goes around comes around. It's like, God damn. We've said this 100 times. We always wanted to like that guy because he's an actual engineer graduate. He is so unlikable.
Yeah, see, and that's something that hurts me real bad. Is I gave him benefit of the doubt for probably 4 years longer than you did. Like
Probably.
and deservedly so. It's not that you have a short patience with it, but you were probably paying more attention to what was going on track and blah blah blah. And you might cuss him out. And I'm like, dude, still Purdue engineer graduate. Like, this is our guy. This is us. This is
Should have been our guy.
Aren't they? Like, if we're engineers, this is our guy then. And it took me longer, and again, deservedly so. You did good on identifying this is a problem. and I'm trying to give the guy some props here. So I don't know what to say.
I think that's
I wanted it to be a thing.
I think that's the reason why I'm so. Let's call it over the top.
Well, you're right. It's
like
you
want
where
to
we
like
wanna
a
be
thing
versus where we are. Yeah.
And like they do such a good job of making you not like it that you're like, all right, fuck it, I hate it.
I agree with you in that the difference between expectation and reality. That's we've talked about that before. That's what makes you upset or disappointed or whatever. If I go to a movie that I'm expecting to be crappy and it's crappy, and I'm like, people ask me how's the movie? It's fine. What are you expecting out of that movie? But if I go to a movie
you knew what you were doing,
and I'm
into.
expecting an Oscar presentation here, and I get absolute crap, I'm going to be over the top in my response of this movie sucked.
Right,
So,
right.
So the expectation versus reality on Newman for me is this guy sucks.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess that's where I'm at with it. It's like, God damn it. Do you really have to be that problematic?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I mean, and not just problematic on the racetrack, because everybody knows. I mean, Junior said it on his podcast at least 3 times. Harder to pass than kidney stone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. That you're doing your job. That's what you get paid to do, is to keep your position. You have to understand there are consequences because this is stock car racing. This is an Indy car.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't be a jerk when you're doing that and somebody makes some move. The only move they think they can make to move you to get by is to, take all the air off of your spoiler. And you spin out He didn't even hit him. He never hit him. Not even during the spin. He slowed way down, let him get out of his way, and then he sped back up. It wasn't like he trashed his car.
This is the part why I said I didn't bring it into this. I have nothing to add to this conversation.
Yeah. So,
what do you want? Sure. Yep. Exactly that. Yep.
and he's racing for his livelihood. He's on a 1-year contract.
And on the bubble.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like
I like Sarah. If you're going to be problematic, at least drive like Kyle Busch. That's a fair point.
Kyle Busch had a lot less to lose.
In this race, I think she just means in general, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, Kyle...
At least drive hard and win a lot. If you're going to be a dick, win, I think is the...
I like that perspective.
You know, I think that's where she's going with.
No, that's 100%.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to drive...
if you're going
to drive balls to the wall all the time and be a nuisance, you better be a guy who's won 53 races in a championship. Mm-hmm. Newman hadn't done a goddamn thing since 2003.
Yeah, except win a bunch of poles.
Well, he stopped doing that about 2007.
7, yeah. Yep. Nope, I agree. Publish immediately. Feedburner and feeds.feedburner and copy and close and go here.
Rusty's working on some IT stuff over there that I don't know how to do.
Yep, we hit this button, we hit this button, we
definitely used our
this link in, and then
PTM After Dark privilege tonight to offer up what our standard approach to language is when discussing.
Disgusting. You guys are disgusting.
There it is. Again twice in a row. Discussing a particular NASCAR conversation. We really appreciate y'all hanging around. Hell, we might talk for 5 more minutes.
That's right.
Who knows? If somebody will send us that's watching on the YouTube, if you got something that you would like for us to talk about that we have not discussed yet, feel free to send it in. I'm about 5 or 6 seconds behind, so give us some leeway on that. And we will address whatever topic you would like to address here in the After Dark, because we really appreciate you guys following along live, because that's pretty damn cool.
It's fun. And especially on nights like when it's just us two, we get to I feel like I get to interact a lot more with the folks.
Bubble drivers, is that really a thing right now?
Who asked that?
Sarah and Bari asked just bubble drivers question.
Bubble drivers? Okay. Let's look at the stat. Give me a second before I can go look all that up.
Yeah, Rusty's got to get all of our
a couple things.
Got to tidy up a few things.
Let's talk about that though. That's fine. I think Jimmy was poised to make some really big moves, and he did not. By the end,
yeah, 2021 schedule is not really worthy of discussion right now. Because it's 2019.
Yeah, well, they've got the whole 2020 thing. 2021, I think everybody has their pipe dreams right now. Like, I would really love to see this or that or the other. But
well, people are wishing in one hand and shitting in the other, and they're not realizing which one's filling up faster. Like, they have to understand that, like, NASCAR still is a long ways away from acquiring all the racetracks. Like, they're not even
obligations and stuff.
You're not even close. Mm-hmm. So you have publicly owned companies that own racetracks, that own assets, that are races. So there is no value in talking about 2021.
We should also say how much value is there in them actually having that. That value is decreasing right now. And so it might be in their interest to think about stuff, except if their track is not going to get a race next year or something, you know?
Yeah.
So it might be within their interest to start thinking about that thing.
No track is losing a race in 2020. Maybe 2021.
Was there nobody?
That'd be guesswork.
Was there nobody losing a race?
I don't think so.
In 2020?
No.
I can't remember.
Not at the Cup level.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's a great point. The reason I'm like hanging over it was like, wait, was there nobody who lost a race next year? But that might be right. I didn't think about that.
Nobody lost a race this year either. They just moved around a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this year was a
Indy
sort of
moved.
different.
Indy moved to next week. Next year they moved to July 4th, and Daytona takes their place in September. But that's really it.
Yeah.
The-
You're saying,
the-
will Indy be in the NASCAR 2021
The
schedule?
Martinsville race
That's
becomes a night race.
That's a fair question, though. Do you think that Indy should be in 2021? Whether it is or not.
They wouldn't have moved it to July 4th if they didn't think that was going to be a hit.
Do you think it should be? That's my question.
They don't have an option because Indy is independently owned. If they have a contract to run races, there's no discussion about should or shouldn't.
All right. Well, I was trying to invoke some conversation. Should Indy be a race, regardless of whether blah 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 blah? Should Indy be on the NASCAR schedule? If if you're king of NASCAR, do you include Indy?
I don't know the answer to that question because there was a time when it was a really big deal.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get at.
And it's been 25 years since that was the case. Like, dead on nuts, 25 years. Yeah, I don't know. If they continue to only get 40 to 50,000 people to those races, perhaps not. I don't know what kind of contract they signed with an independent track that they will never own. I don't know that anybody would be, in our era, like, post 2000, I don't know that anybody would be all that upset if it wasn't.
And so that was interesting because I saw Tommy Joe Martin's earlier post. He said NASCAR is the number one motorsport in the U.S. Indy is the number one track in the U.S. in terms of prestige. Both of those are the highest two things.
Yes.
For NASCAR not to race at Indy seems silly. That the best series or the most prestigious series, I won't say best because that's whatever, but you can talk about total fandom of both of those things and prestige. They should race. I thought that was an interesting point. However, I'm with you in that might be an outdated point of view. Possibly.
Well, I think Indy suffered the worst combination of things that could happen during the recession. Was that not only did it make it incredibly expensive for people to travel to races when gas went to $4.25 a gallon, they also had that horrific tire debacle in the exact moment that was happening. So I think that's what they suffer from. It's like, I mean, the racing is what the racing is.
Yeah.
It's never going to be a two-groove racetrack for a stock car.
Yeah.
It's not a two-groove track for Indy. They just, I mean, it's a little bit neater thing that's happening because of the speed.
Yeah, the speed is a big thing. I think if they can find a way to keep the speeds up, it could be good. But I don't know. I'm not married to it.
It's not doing well in NASCAR. I think one of the worst decisions that NASCAR has made in the last 10 years is to take the Xfinity race away from O'Reilly, Lucas Oil, whatever we're calling that short track, and pull them to Indy. But that was all a sponsorship thing, like commercial dollar, like it was all a money thing. It wasn't because the racing was bad. It was because it was a money grab. Sponsors for cars because Indy has so much prestige. So, teams were able to attract more sponsorship as a result. Like, there's a whole bunch, there's like a bunch of dominoes that are involved in this whole process. And only one of them is the racetrack.
And it's funny how, I shouldn't say funny, it's interesting how it has evolved now. The Xfinity race, so the Cup race is Brickyard 400, right? The Xfinity race is the Lilly Diabetes 250.
Yep.
It's not the Coca-Cola 250 at the Brickyard Xfinity Series race.
Yeah, what is
It's
the Brickyard?
not
It's something
or
at
Pepsi,
the Brickyard.
Or it's whatever else. This is Lilly Diabetes 250. That's not exactly the
Which
most
is
prestigious.
fairly hilarious because the Lilly Diabetes driver was fired by Roush 2 years ago.
And let me make sure that's correct because that might be an out-of-date schedule. NASCAR schedule.
Maybe they thought sponsoring one race was better than sponsoring an Xfinity driver for the entire season, and he wasn't doing well. Because there was a driver with diabetes who raced for Roush, the 16 car.
Yeah.
He's not.
It's all fine.
He's not there anymore.
You know what?
He doesn't exist.
Here's the crazy thing. So that was on Google, and Google actually shows the trucks race at Las Vegas to be the DC Solar 300 still right now. That's not going to happen. So right now on NASCAR.com,
quasi hilarious.
Yeah, if you go to the .com, it's the Indiana 250. So it might not even be the Lilly Diabetes. It is the Indiana 250.
We will find out tomorrow who is actually going to sponsor
who got
that
the
race.
discount lottery on this one,
right?
To sponsor the race,
and that means it'll drop from like 3 or 4 million to like 500 grand.
Yeah. So this is, I would agree with you in that there was probably a time when, hey, this is Indy prestige, blah blah blah. Somebody pay us a bunch of money, and somebody did, and now we're looking at the Lilly Diabetes 250. Couldn't even make it, so now it's the Indiana 250. That's tough. What can you say?
It's a different world now. I mean, not now. It's been a different world for a long time, but man, if that was a night race at Lucas Oil or O'Reilly or whatever we're calling Indianapolis Motor Park is what it used to be, IMP. That race was so much fun. It's like a 4/10 or a 7/10 oval or something like that. 7/10, I think. Mm-hmm. Old school as hell asphalt race in Indiana, where you know how Indiana works.
Mm-hmm.
If you aren't racing an Indy car, dirt is what they care about.
Brandon Carl corrected us, and I cross-checked. He is correct. It's the Brickyard. It's not the Brickyard 400. It is the Big Machine Vodka 400 presented by Florida Georgia Line.
Oh, I remember seeing the Florida Georgia Line crap on Twitter earlier.
You get a quarter-ass sponsorship and a half-ass band.
I wouldn't even give them half-assed. I mean, they get a lot of radio play because of the way country music has changed, but they had 2 good songs.
I was going to say there were a couple catchy songs. I was in. It was fine, and then it got a little weird.
The first one, baby, you a song.
Yeah, that's fine.
It was catchy as hell.
Yeah,
but they were in there at a time when they weren't the only band doing that sort of thing, but not everybody was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's all the hell you... in Atlanta, y'all, we don't hear country music on the radio, just so you know. We hear whatever, Florida Georgia Line is now.
But that's a good point. Let me read you some of these things, though. Bojangles Southern 500, right? One we just went to. Bass Pro Shop NRA night race like that. I mean, that's serious. South Point 400. Federated Auto Parts 400. Bank of America Roval 400. And the Big Machine Vodka 400 at the Brickyard brought to you by Florida Georgia Line. We can't even get a sponsor at Indy that is worth having a singular title in the name.
I hear you, man.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, Lily's Diabetes 400 sounds better now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's or 250.
250, yeah.
Race.
Sorry,
but no, you're right. That's it. I mean, maybe it only has one more year before it kind of wanders its way off.
And so that was a question: Indy in 2021 or not?
Well, let me ask you this.
Okay.
So if we're really
ask you that.
If we're going to stir the pot a little bit, because that's what we've been kind of doing in this After Dark episode.
Yep.
Would you rather watch Cup cars race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, or race Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin?
Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
Yeah, 100%. 100,085%.
Yeah. Now here's something that my allegiance has an issue with was, Casey Kane's last win was at the Brickyard.
Oh, it'll be in our hearts forever because of
tough
that.
to let go, but it's been a year,
Well, but that's
not since his win, but since, he's gone and all that.
It's for me, it's easy to depart from because Casey always wanted to race Indy.
Mm-hmm.
When he grew up in the Outlaws, moved to Indianapolis to race Outlaws because he was that good at it, and then NASCAR said, we kind of like what you dirt guys do, and we think you're going to be good over here. For him to get to roll out of his career with his last win being at Indy, that's super special.
Mm-hmm.
And I can let it go.
Yeah.
Especially now that I've
seen
the Indianapolis 500 with Brett Morris. Shout out. He was on here
Well,
earlier.
and the Indy 500 just makes a Brickyard 400 look like
that
that makes it his bitch.
It's
really
wild,
what it
dude. It's like, is there a race down there? No. You don't even know that there's. You could not know that there's a race happening and be in there.
I guess, like many, excuse me. I'm trying to think of places that I would be offended that they took away.
Oh yeah,
and I'm okay with a lot of things. Now, Atlanta is obviously near and dear to our hearts, and they took away one of them. So if you take away the Atlanta race, I'm pretty darn bummed.
If you take away the Atlanta race, you will effectively kill stock car racing in Georgia.
Right. If you take away, here's the crazy thing: if you take away Bristol Spring, I'm probably not pissed off. Like, that's how crazy things are right now. As a fan,
it's just not the right time of year.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah. You took away that. What did you put in its place? If you put in, Kansas 2, then I'd probably be upset. But
they already have 2.
If you put in Kansas 3, something. Well, that would be dumb. But if you put in somebody 2 that I don't care for, or that is not a good replacement type of thing, I might be upset. But otherwise, it's like, Bristol Spring Race is not really all that, I don't know, interesting to me. And it would make the night race a bit more prestigious, if you will.
For sure.
But yeah, if you're going to go somewhere new, if you replace Bristol Spring with Nashville somehow, I know the logistics aren't there. I know blah, blah, blah. But if they could figure out something crazy like that, I'd be all for it. I'm going to Nashville. I'm not going to Bristol. I'm going to Nashville.
Yeah.
We already know we're not going to the Bristol Spring race. So
St. Louis, or Gateway rather.
Gateway, yeah.
One of those ones that actually still is affiliated with NASCAR, so they're up to speed on safety. They might have to get up to speed on amenities.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Brandon Carl says for the longest time in the early 2000s, Darlington was close to the chopping block. I could see that happening at some point when
not in the early 90s. They had 2 races.
Well, he was saying in the early aughts.
They lost one to California.
Yeah, and could be further on the chopping block. I could see that because NASCAR
was they made no effort to upgrade the amenities at Darlington. That's the problem.
That's true. At that point in time, too, NASCAR was getting so big that they had to consider all options, like what is going to give us the biggest market and the biggest money and blah, blah, blah. But, hey, nowadays, they sold out the other night. So, good on them. We didn't talk about that on the show.
We didn't.
A sellout race. Now, sellout at Darlington now is like 47,000, I believe was the number. So
that's the number they reported. I'm like, man, I just look like a whole lot more people than that. But, that's reserved seating, which almost all the seats at Darlington are.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't account for people in the infield.
Yeah.
There was probably closer to 100,000 people there.
Yeah. That was a well-attended race. Even at 10 p.m., it was... And the Xfinity race, even though they closed Pearson stands and they closed the backstretch, that was slammed. We were knee to knee with people next to us.
Yeah. The entire grandstand, the front stretch grandstand was filled for the Xfinity race.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we've never seen before. Now, granted, we have never also seen them close Pearson and turn 1, so it helped.
Mm-hmm.
It helped them cage their environment and make it look better, which I am in favor of them doing when it makes sense. But yeah, so I had a conversation with somebody on Twitter, and they're like, "Well, so and so sold 50,000 seats, and that was a sellout at like 4 tracks." And I'm like, "Oh, not really." And then they reported to me, of course, the numbers.
Well, sure. Well, if it's sold out at 50,000, if you sell it at 50,000, to our point, you probably have 75,000, 100,000 people there.
Yeah,
maybe more.
Yeah.
So if you sell out something at 40,000, you probably have less. Even still, I get that. It's fine. I get that. So it scales.
Yeah, it's fine. No,
way.
I'm not picking on whoever that was. They may even be listening. Who knows? You never know. I'm not picking on them one bit, but it was like, it was kind of one of those like just arithmetic events, and I'm like, NASCAR 47,000 was like what they used to draw for trucks. But we're in a different world now.
Yeah, I was about to say it's a different deal now.
It's a different world now, and that's fine. We got to reset. We got to figure it out. I mean,
and we got to figure out the money. That's why I brought up Bob Levine saying it's $400K to run a race.
Yeah, well, I mean, he sent me a DM saying, like we talked about, like, hey, this is what we've spent on Matt. I don't appreciate you saying nobody's invested in him. And I was like, I did not say that very well. I did not, mean to say that you guys hadn't spent a crap load of money, because they certainly have.
Right.
And hopefully y'all will get a chance to have him on, and he can be more specific about things like that. It's not for me to divulge those details here. That's why it happened via DM.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I mean, that's what we're looking forward to.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's shut this thing down on the YouTube, because I got to pee. But
I do, too. Hey, thanks, everybody.
It's been fun. Thank y'all for hanging out.
What was the last thing Brandon Carl said?
2003 spring race was where Craven won. Was
yes,
arguably what saved Darlington from
Kurt
the same
Busch.
fate as Rockingham. That's I think that's a fair point. I don't think I was paying attention in 2003, but I will take your word for it, because
Well, I've seen the replay about 978
yeah, you've
times,
seen that one plenty.
and we finally got to meet Ricky Craven this weekend, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Great dude. So we're going to shut her down. We really appreciate the support. You guys,
thank you, everybody.
You
Thank
guys
Brandon.
following in live.
Thank you, Roger and Sarah, for the kind comments there.
Yeah, you guys following in live is a real shot in the arm when we're, trying to make this thing as good as we can make it.
Well, and especially when it's us on our own, we're trying. we're hoping that we can together bring you something just by ourselves, because our guests are usually just fire. So. It's cool to bring y'all something that maybe you at least enjoy hearing. We'll catch y'all next week, and it's been a blast.
No guest to announce yet, but I am working on it.
That's right. See y'all soon.
See ya.